Good day and welcome to Conversations with AARP in the Virgin Islands. I'm Troy Deshabir Schuster, State Director of AARP in this territory. And as always, it's a great pleasure to be with you during the show to bring you important information about exciting things that are happening in the community and impactful things that AARP is doing in the community, along with our community partners. And so, to talk about one of those great projects today, we have with us Susan Edwards. Good day, Susan.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for making the time to be with us today. And I see here in my notes that you are the commissioned artist of the VI Council on the Arts Public Arts Initiative. So before we get into that in particular, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the Virgin Islands? Are you on St. Thomas or St. John?
Mhm.
Um, what brings you here? What keeps you here? What are you doing in the community?
Okay, well, I've been here since 1967, so pretty long time, and I am on St. Thomas. I have been an art educator, I've been a studio artist, and I guess what keeps me here is this natural beauty all around us, and I just love the community. I love St. Thomas, and I love making art here.
Excellent. You know, there is a very famous artist who lived on St. Thomas some time ago, Camille Pissarro.
Oh, yes.
And I heard that in one of his writings, he stated that he did some of his best artwork on St. Thomas because of the quality of the sunlight. Am I correct in my understanding?
Yes, the quality of the light. The quality of the light just before sunset is it's just a golden glow, and it's something that artists, probably everyone appreciates it without being able to voice what they love so much about it, but for artists it's very special.
You know, I'm an amateur photographer, maybe a little more than amateur, maybe intermediate, branching toward professional. And I always find that taking pictures around that time of the day is also very intriguing. That
Yes.
sunlight.
Yes, at high noon it's like too much light, and but you get really nice long shadows toward it early in the morning and just before sunset or just after sunset sometimes, but there's still that beautiful glow.
And I've also noticed, I don't know if you have, but it seems like the sunlight is a little different around this time of the year. I don't know. Am I imagining things? But
I think it's the quality of the atmosphere at this time of year. It tends to be clearer, it's not as hazy, so you get sharper shadows. Do you think that might be it?
probably it. Yeah, yeah. You know, and it's interesting how artists, whether you're a painter or a photographer, how we think about light because it's all about how light is reflected and how it's captured, huh?
Yes.
It's all about light. And so, um, what do you do with the VI Council and the arts in particular?
Well, I was selected for this mural project. In past years, I've done many things with the Council of the Arts. When I was teaching at Charlotte Amalia High School, I would often apply for grants for things for my students. So they helped me in putting on art shows and attending conferences. I traveled with my students to Puerto Rico and New York. They've been so helpful in assisting me as an art educator to get things for my students mainly.
Yes, I know the VI Council on the Arts has done great work in this community for decades now, uh,
Yes.
and funding a lot of art projects and performances and so forth. So we thank them for their great work in the community. And so this brings us to the main topic, which is about the mural project that the VI Council on the Arts is doing on St. Thomas presently. And as a little bit of a background to that, AARP, one of our major campaigns nationally is livable communities, looking for ways to make communities more livable, doing everything from the 8 domains of livability, which includes housing and transportation to healthcare services, all the way to outdoor spaces, to parks, to recreation areas, and making sure that those outdoor spaces are safe, are usable, and also beautiful. And so pursuant to this, AARP gives a community challenge grant each year. All across the country, we give more than $2.4 million in community challenge grants. And what we're looking for is community organizations, nonprofits, legally organized 501c3s, who have some quick turn project that they have planned for the community, something to enhance the outdoor spaces and so forth, or to do something else within the whole livable communities framework, maybe to enhance healthcare accessibility to healthcare in some way. And so these community organizations can apply to AARP, and then AARP will make a grant, and then we provide any necessary support to help that community organization to bring the project to completion, to fruition. And so last year, the VI Council on the Arts applied to AARP for a community challenge grant, the 2020 community challenge grant, and they received the grant from us. And this grant was to complete or to carry on, in a manner of speaking, the mural project that was started on St. Croix, the Seawalls project. And for those who live on St. Croix, I'm sure that you've seen several of these, especially in the Frederickstead area. And now the VI Council on the Arts is extending that mural project to St. Thomas and also to St. John. And so you, Susan, have been commissioned to head up one of those mural projects. So can you tell us exactly which one you're supervising on St. Thomas?
The one I'm supervising, the one I'm doing on St. Thomas, is at Alamo Bean Ballpark. And they have a cistern there they don't really use, but it's there. That's a perfect canvas for this mural. It's just a big blank wall, what every artist loves to see. And I went out there and met with them, and they talked about what they were looking for. They wanted to honor two gentlemen, Bernard Kubu Joseph and Ralph Froggy Johnson. And they sent me information about them. And I realized that the main thing that these two gentlemen had done was coach and mentor the kids. And so I wanted my mural to be about, and of course they wanted it to be about sports, basketball and baseball primarily. And so I wanted it to be about the kids playing sports. And then it will have portraits of these two gentlemen kind of looking down over the kids who are in silhouette for the most part. And so that's what I'm doing. And it's colorful, it's cheerful. And I must say, so far, as I've been working on it, it's been very well accepted by the community. People talk to me when they're on their way. They stop on their way to work. One of my former students stopped and talked to me because he recognized my car. And I think it's a very positive addition to the community center and to the whole community.
Wonderful. And when I said supervise, you made a bit of light about that and saying you're doing it. So I stand corrected. You're the artist actually painting the mural.
I am. I designed it. I'm painting, but it's very funny because that Vika asked me if I could get someone to come out and take some pictures of me while I'm working on it. And so my husband was curious to see what I was doing anyway. So he came out and took the pictures. And before you know it, he was helping me paint the parts that I couldn't reach up at the top. So a little bit of supervision.
Okay. Great. I guess I saw the image of the other mural at Crown Bay, and I saw like 2 or 3 people working on it. So I assumed that you were supervising a group of people, but you are the artist. Okay, no. Excellent. So the master itself.
So there's a team of right. There's a team of 4 ladies working on the Crown Bay project.
Okay. And what is the theme of your mural again? Can you just go a little more into detail as to your thought process and the design of it?
I think that's the theme. The theme would be sports. So it's a sports community center. There's the ballpark there, and there's basketball courts. There's a playground for kids and an indoor area. But they are interested in sports 100%. And it's also to honor these two gentlemen who have passed away. And so they are kind of like highlighted up at the top of the mural. And then going around the cistern, there are waves of color. There's the mountains in the background. In the foreground, kids playing basketball and baseball. And down at the bottom, kind of a geometric design, just for interest. And I just keep thinking in my head, I want some, it's like balls. So we got the baseball, we've got the basketball, we've got the sun, we have the circles with the portraits. And I'm like, I really want some more circles. And I actually just went online today and found someone who's selling templates for making circles. So it's like a sticky vinyl circle cutout. And so I went ahead and ordered them. So the mural will be almost finished until my circle templates come. And then I'm going to add some polka dots to it.
Okay, great. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And so tell us, in your opinion, why is it important to bring art to the community in this way?
Well, I think it's a wonderful way to bring art to the community. It's accessible to everyone. I think it gives them pride in their neighborhood. And my hope is that seeing this art all around where the mural projects are happening will encourage people not to litter, to take more pride in their community, and to realize that someone cared enough about them to make their area more beautiful, and that they need to pitch in and help in that endeavor.
And I'm sure that art also has a psychological impact on people.
I think it does. I think when you see bright colors, it just cheers people up. Of course, we have such a beautiful environment. You can look just about anywhere and see gorgeous nature and the beautiful blue sky. But when you're in an area that's just a wall, for instance, if you're in slow traffic driving into Tutu in St. Thomas, it's really nice to be able to look at the Austin Peterson's mural along the wall there. And it tells a story. And as in the one in Crown Bay, it has cultural relevance. I think the ladies who are doing the project in Crown Bay specifically wanted to show the tourists who are coming in on the cruise ships over there a bit about our culture. So there's a market scene, underwater, sugar mill, village scene. And then I haven't seen the second project they're working on, but I believe there's steel pans and other mako jumbies, the things that we kind of tend to take for granted, but that are new to the visitors.
Exactly. And going back to something you said about colors, I love color. I love a lot of color. I mean, even in the room behind me, you see a lot of color.
Yeah.
And I'm always struck by how so many people, even in this beautiful environment here in the Virgin Islands, tend to live their life in shades of gray. And I can never quite wrap my mind around that. They have a lot of the different shades of white in their home, even in a lot of the clothing, especially how the men dress. It's a lot of the whites, the grays, the blues of different sorts. You don't see a whole lot of color sometimes, and I wonder why people here in the Caribbean aren't more expressive with their color. They seem to be rather conservative in their use of color, but yet we're surrounded by so much color with all of the flora and even the fauna with our yellow-breast birds and so forth.
Yes, and the coral reefs and the fish and beautiful flowers.
Yeah, exactly. Lots and lots of color. And I like to celebrate color. For me, it brings happiness. It brings joy. It brings light and life. It brings movement, and makes me feel happy. And I'm sure that color will make a lot of people feel happy.
I hope so.
Yes. And
I
so,
stopped
go ahead.
I stopped the other day to take a picture of the where I'm working of Al McBean from afar. So from Donar Road, you look down on Olive Tutu down there, and I took the picture, and the pink and orange just popped out from, you know, a mile away or something. It was pretty spectacular.
Sure. And especially in St. Thomas, when the flamboyant trees are in bloom, they're all
Yes.
over. I heard some old legend that a particular gentleman some years ago got up in an airplane and scattered flamboyant seeds all over St. Thomas. I'm not sure how true that is.
I've heard that as well. Yeah, I actually know that my distant cousin, who was a developer here back in the 50s, planted flamboyants on the road up to Mountaintop on St. Thomas, flamboyants and coconut trees. He and his wife did.
Right. And it's so wonderful to see that. And here we don't have as many flamboyant trees in St. Thomas, but the yellow cedar, what we
Ah,
call yellow cedar, our
mhm.
local flower, and they're all over St. Croix, especially on the eastern end of the island. So color surrounds us. And
Beautiful.
so are do you know, are we going to be doing one on St. John? Is Vika going to be doing one with the grant on the island of
I
St.
don't know. I heard some rumblings that it's apparently a little bit difficult to get a space and get permission or someone who actually owns the wall and wants to have it done. I'm not sure what the permission. I know that permission for the one I did had to go through the commissioner of Parks and Recreation, and so there's a process.
Great. Well, I hope that we can find a great big wall in St. John to do a beautiful mural there also. And so, how do you see this project working to spotlight art in the Virgin Islands and inspire future works of public art?
Well, I think anyone who sees it, maybe it will give them an idea. Maybe I know that there are programs. One of my former students worked on a program here by Edith Williams School, and I think it's a wonderful thing to get students involved in. I know I had my students when I was teaching at high school making murals all over. I think it's good for teaching visual literacy. And what I specifically had them do was to copy with a little, maybe brighter colors, some famous works of art that seemed, they weren't like Pissarro paintings because he didn't really do that many paintings of the Virgin Islands. But my students did a Gauguin, a Rousseau, they did a Picasso. So they did these on walls around the school. And when you drive by high school, you'll see my department head, Edney Freeman, had his students do a large one that was kind of a takeoff on a Diego Rivera mural. But he did it telling the story of the Virgin Islands. It's really interesting. It's right on Sugar Estate Road on the outside of what was the art building. And I had my students do Mako Jumbies. I invited 2 Mako Jumbies to come and model for them. And so you'll see those on the wall as well, just around the corner of that building that's right on the main road. And I think seeing that inspires more people to want to do the same, I'm hoping, and just to appreciate art. I know the music is very much appreciated and supported in the Virgin Islands, but I think the visual arts a little bit less so. So it's good to see these projects that AARP is funding, and thank you.
Our pleasure. Yeah, we look forward to doing so much more in the community. And I remember back in the 1970s, I guess late 70s into the early 80s, there was a big graffiti movement in the Virgin Islands, especially here in St. Croix. Young people were going out in the middle of the night and painting graffiti on walls everywhere. It was,
Mm,
it was almost unbearable, and some of the graffiti was not very becoming. It
right.
had themes that were not becoming of a decent community, if you will. So this mural initiative, I think, is a really good response to that graffiti, and it would be wonderful if more young people can channel the energy that they did once upon a time into doing commissioned murals,
Mhm.
all the proper permissions in place, and express themselves in that way. I think that all expressions of art is an expression of the soul, and it can be cathartic, can help you to release emotions that need to be released. It can help individuals to work through certain conflicts that they may have within their own psyche or their conscious or their subconscious. But without getting too philosophical, again, I would hope that there would be more support of the visual, the creative arts, so that young people can learn how to express themselves. We all need a way to express, to emote, right? And it's important to do it in a healthy way. And art is such a very healthy expression of our emotions. Tell us your thoughts about that, the
Well,
expression.
I tend more towards I especially in the mural projects, I just like to be positive. I mean, I know that especially with the graffiti, maybe the kids were expressing their anger. And I do remember, I can't remember seeing a lot of graffiti here on St. Thomas, but I do remember that if you wanted to buy spray paint in the stores, you had to go and pay for it to get the little valve that went on top because kids were stealing the spray paint, but then they couldn't use it because they didn't have the valve. So they had to have permission to use it and make sure that if they stole it, they wouldn't be able to use it. So that seemed to go along with the graffiti, with the expression of anger and kind of antisocial. But with the murals, I just think it's positive. It's like the artist Henri Matisse said, he thought art should be as comfortable as an armchair. So he wanted to make people comfortable. He was not an artist who wanted to make people feel uncomfortable. And that's the way I feel about it. I want people to like it, to feel comfortable, for it to make them feel happy, and to enjoy it. Not in the business of doing something controversial. I'm a kind of an anti-conflict kind of person myself. And a lot of artists have been talking about, well, what kind of art are you making during the pandemic? Because, of course, perfect opportunity, stuck at home, let's make art. And what is calming and satisfying to me is mostly like going for walks, going for a swim. And so when I do, since I'm a collector kind of artist, I have to pick things up off the beach or in the water. And so I have all these shell fragments and whatever little bits of plastic someone's left behind at the beach. And that's what I've been painting. And I just find that kind of contemplative and calming. And it's like, especially with the shells, there's a timelessness to it. And that's how I'm getting through it.
Right, right. And to tell us a little bit about the mechanics, if you will, of doing a mural. Do you have to prime the concrete surface first, and then what kind of paint do you use for these images?
Well, yes, I'm so lucky. The surface is primed already because it's painted. And so at Al McBean in particular, everything is painted yellow with kind of a purplish brown border. So the background is there, and I use exterior house paint. And it's a very nice quality paint. So it goes on pretty thickly. You don't have to do layer after layer. And for the type of mural I'm doing, it's pretty much flat surfaces. I'm not trying to make objects look three-dimensional. So it's just more shapes rather than trying to express forms. So even like the basketball, you know it's a basketball because it has those distinctive lines on it.
Right.
But basically it's just flat shape.
Yeah.
So that's the kind I'm doing. Not everyone does the same type of mural painting, and some people do go much more into realism, but mine in particular is more color.
And again, we're running low on time, but just you piqued my curiosity. When you get into the realism and all of the shading and the nuances, isn't that difficult to do with ordinary house paint? Or
Well, when I get to the portraits, which is the next thing, I didn't explain the rest. So first I do a sketch, and then I draw it on the, in my case, cistern with chalk. And then I come back with masking tape and go over those lines with masking tape, and then paint right up to that masking tape. And then when the paint comes off, it has the effect of having a yellow line where the masking tape was, which is what I want. But when I come to the portraits, I'll start with the house paint, but then I also have regular acrylic paints so that they will be more nuanced.
okay, okay, interesting. So as we're coming down to the last couple of minutes, tell us how the public can learn more about this project sponsored by the VI Council on the Arts, and also learn more about maybe art in general on the island of St. Thomas. So VI Council on the Arts
The
information,
VI
and
Council on the Arts.
wherever
Mhm.
you express your art in your gallery or at Tillett Gardens. Tell us how people can become more involved.
I would suggest going to the VI Council on the Arts website, and they are posting different events that they're having. They host art shows. Pre-pandemic, for a couple of years, I had my students from the University of the Virgin Islands had art shows at VICA, and they also will have information about other events that they're sponsoring. So that would be my suggestion for a good way to dip into the arts on St. Thomas.
Great. And is Tillett Gardens still functioning? I remember when I lived there years ago, they had a lot of art events. Are they still doing that now, even through the pandemic?
Not through the pandemic as much. They have had a couple. I've noticed it's not the big Arts Alive event that it used to be, but it is still, well, it's such a lovely spot for having art shows. So I would say on a scaled back version, they are having some things.
Okay. And what about you? Do you have an art studio that's open to the public presently on St. Thomas?
I do not. I am not open to the public.
Okay. I can understand for sure. Very good. Well, Susan, thank you so much for being with us today. We've come to the end of our program. Thanks for the beautiful artwork that you're doing there out in the Tutu area at the Al McBean Ballpark. And I look forward to seeing it myself when I go over to St. Thomas next time.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'll give you a tour.
Great. I look forward to that. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.